Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. We have more information. And what I mean by that is we have more information about weather effects and weather events, which is pretty crazy coming to the new Farming Simulator 25. By the way, if you haven't pre-ordered it yet, use code FarmerCop at checkout or use the links down below in the description to go to support the channel. I do appreciate all you guys that do that. So thank you for that if you are using that code. And also check out the Year 1 Season Pass, the Collector's Edition, all those. And if you want to know what version of the game to order, I do have a video on that. You can check that video out. It is linked down below in the description. Now, yesterday I released a video about the new gameplay trailer, which showed off, well, tornadoes or twisters, however you want to look at that, which is pretty darn cool. It just is. It's so cool. We've never had something like that come to Farming Simulator before in terms of the base game, and I think it opens up the doors for a lot of things. And I still think there's a lot more to come. But Giant Software did just now release a blog post to talk a little bit more about that. What has been playing in the background, by the way, as I'm talking, is that gameplay trailer if you haven't checked it out. If you want to check out my video on it, breaking that down a little bit more, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and read the blog post that Giant said. So, weather change, twisters and hail with a chance of fog. Preview. So then it continues down. Riverbend Springs and multiple other locations around the world, the weather is predicted to change more often. As we look at darkening clouds in the sky, listening to the wind, the farmers closing in, and one can notice clear signs that some weather is on the way. An August summer night, local farmers and residents are encouraged to take general precautions. But first, learn more in the following weather report, and don't forget to pre-order Farming Simulator 25 coming November 12th. Now, the way they did this actually is very kind of cool. I'm taking a kind of a... They kind of did this like a news article. So basically, yesterday, they released the gameplay trailer with the twister and all the damage and all the destruction it did. And then they basically released this as like a post-twister news article about the weather event. And it's pretty cool. And I think we kind of get some hints at some really cool new features in addition to weather effects that are as part of this. So I'm going to just go ahead and read through it here. It says, a twister's in the air. Farmers feel it everywhere. And then it continues. I love that it rhymes. On a glory night where the children of tomorrow dream away, farmers might notice the winds changing. We're expecting a light twister to touch down in a few areas. It shouldn't be anything too severe, but it's always wise to take precautions and secure any unroofed bales just in case. More on unroofed bales. It's coming. There's more. Hail is coming down. Bales are closing in. Some hail is also predicted to hit. The good news is, after these brief disturbances, the skies will clear up and we'll see the sun shining brightly once again. This weather event will pass and we'll be back to calm, sunny conditions before you know it. Watch the crops, the trees, and the bales. Once the storm passes, local farmers are advised to inspect their fields for any destruction and assess the impact on their crops. While Twister fans may observe the weather spectacle from a safe distance, farmers cannot afford to be careless, as all weather events bear the potential to destroy a portion of crops. So yes, we saw in the video twisters will destroy crops, and based on this, and I think a screenshot, which I'll show you guys here in a bit, I do think that the hail itself will have an effect on crops too, which I know is something that a lot of players have asked for in the past. But as we continue here, it says, in Riverbend Springs, we caught up with a newfound farmer, David, 36. And then there's a quote from what David said. It says, when all the other farmers were running around doing stuff to prepare, I did not think very much of it. I'm pretty new to all this, you know. Having learned his lesson, the former white-collar worker lost about half of his crops on a rather tiny plot and all of his bales left out in the open. And then there's another quote, even my shed got damaged, end quote. He added, looking rather sad while proclaiming that Mother Nature had added insult to injury. Relative to way bigger field sizes, other farmers got off lightly in comparison. Meanwhile, the local lumberjack and forester of Riverbend Springs was not available for comment while tending to dead trees that were affected by the storm. I love how they did this. Then there's a quote here. Some of us carry out essential duties. I must insist you grant me solitude while I attend to my fallen companions, he said in a grumpy tone before adding, I observed your cameraman indulging in refreshments. I strongly suggest you refrain from littering in the forest as you depart. It continues on. Watch the sun rise for peace of mind. And said we got a hold of retired farmer Walter, who shared his perspective on the recent weather changes. And then there's a quote here. Good weather always follows bad weather sooner or later, says the 72-year-old farmer, reflecting on the shifting conditions. Don't know where all that thick fog suddenly comes from, though. Probably brought in with the wind of change. When asked if he had any more farming wisdom to impact about the weather, Walter had a classic reply. Let's take a rain check. We'll be revisiting Riverbend Springs in November to see how the weather has impacted the local farming community. Maybe you want to visit yourself and ask the locals some questions. So, big things in here. The one big thing is they mentioned Walter and David. Those, I don't know if those specific people will be in, but they do say maybe you want to visit yourself. That's Riverbend Springs. Maybe you want to visit Riverbend Springs yourself and ask the locals some questions. That is a very strong suggestion that there will be basically AI characters or, NPCs, non-player characters on the map that you can go talk to and interact with and ask them questions. That is a huge step forward. I know we have mentioned this before, and it was kind of talked about a little bit briefly at FarmCon, but this is a really big mention of this, which is pretty cool. Outside of that, we're just kind of talking about the damage, and the things that we're looking in here, we're going to see is that obviously the crops are going to get damaged and the trees are going to get damaged. We saw that in the gameplay trailer and talked about that. The other things here that's important to note is that bales will probably fly away or get destroyed if they're left out. I don't know exactly what that means, but there could be bales flying around if they get hit by the twister, which would be awesome. And it does mention that your shed or that a shed got damaged. That means that there might be, it says even my shed got damaged, he added, and that was David 36 when we were talking about him earlier. So looking at that, that can mean that there is damage to buildings and possibly vehicles from this weather. So this is huge, guys. This is huge. It's not going to be as crazy in depth as some of you are going to want it. Don't get too excited about it in terms of that. But this is a huge step forward for Giants, and I'm very excited about that. But having said that, I want to show you guys some new screenshots. None of these screenshots, I know last time I messed this up, I didn't read what they were all captioned. These are all captioned weather event 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I'm just going to go through the 16 screenshots with you. The first one here, you can see kind of the dark clouds rolling in. You have a nice wheat field there. Everything looks like it's kind of as it should be. If we move forward here, we have the twister in the background. We can see we're kind of falling behind it, and I say falling behind it because it looks like it's already been through here and destroyed some trees. There's a ton of debris and stuff flying through the air, which is just super cool. So this is so crazy. If we move forward one more slide here, one more screenshot, we have a nice sunflower field. You can see some of the God rays shining through and some of the thick fog. Looks like kind of after the storm effect here. We move forward from there. Here we have a shed, and then it's just kind of some clouds in the distance. You can see the ground's a little wet, it looks like. But I don't see anything else crazy here. The next one is pretty cool. This is a John Deere, looks like, I think, what is this, the 9R something or other? Not the tractor, whatever. Anyhow, it's a big John Deere tractor driving on the road. You can see the rain coming in really hard. You can see the light effects from the lights of the AI traffic and the tractor. Everything looks very realistic, very clean, very crisp, which is absolutely incredible. If we move on from there, here we have a nice picture of the twister coming around to the tornado, depending on where you're from or how you want to say it, which is, again, just a great shot of that. And I love just how the sun is still shining in the background through the clouds there. This looks really cool. The next shot we get, we see the twister. It looks like it's already moved through where we're at. There's some damage kind of spots in the crops. You can see it kind of took out some of the crops, which is just cool. I mean, you may not want to deal with that. I'm assuming it'll be a feature you can turn on or off. But it is cool to see that kind of crop damage happen. Next slide, we just see a different angle of the twister. It's still throwing stuff everywhere. Got a nice water tower off to the left in the background there. The next slide's pretty cool, actually. We see the rain coming down on the river. We see the new International Transtar loaded up on the ferry. So we kind of get a look at the ferry in action here, moving a vehicle across. We've seen vehicles on it before, but we've never seen it out on the water, I don't think, with a vehicle on it. So that's pretty cool to see that. And you can see, obviously, it's big enough you could probably fit 3 trucks side by side on there. So it's a pretty big ferry. If we go to the next one, we have someone, probably third-person view here. We have someone running back to the tractor. The tractor looks great. It looks nice and shiny, and all the weather reflections and the water reflections look great. But it looks like they're just trying to run back to get out of the rain. And you can also see how deep the tracks have gone in the mud there. So it looks really clean, guys. And here's kind of a different angle of, another person running back to the tractor. I'm assuming this is just a different screenshot of them trying to show off the same thing, but you can see that as well, and you can see kind of the nice thick hail coming down from the sky there. We don't really have anything, I guess, to confirm that hail is going to damage the crops, but based on what we're seeing here, I'm assuming that it's probably going to damage it. Probably not to the extent that the tornado did, but it'll still probably damage crops. Here we have a beautiful one, and probably what I used for my screenshot, actually. You have a nice case tractor down there amongst the chaos as the tornado is kind of barreling towards the town, which is pretty cool to see. And I don't see any obviously damaged buildings, so I don't know how that's going to work, or if it may not be something that's necessarily visible, as much as it is going to be something that you just have to pay for maybe or something like that, but still pretty cool to see that that's kind of going that direction. This next one here, we have the case on the roadway. You can see the rain coming down. You can see the tornado in the background. You can see some of the trees and stuff have been destroyed as it's moving its way through, and everything just looks really crisp. It just looks nice. It just looks nice. And it's kind of crazy. You can see the blue skies on the right-hand side. So you can see that the weather is very, very specific to where it's at on the map. So it might be raining at one part, might not be raining at another part. There might be fog at one part and not fog at another part. So it's kind of cool to see that. And next we kind of are we just back to the beginning here? I'm trying to see. Okay, yeah, for me, yep, we're back to the beginning. So anyhow, I want to make sure I actually showed off all the slides for you guys here, but I think, yeah, I made it. Oh no, I didn't make it back to the beginning. We're almost there. So this next one here that you're seeing right here, just a nice kind of overlay of the wheat field. Now you can see why I thought we were back at the beginning. And moving on from there, this next one shows the hail, and it shows kind of a little bit of crop damage. That crop damage doesn't look severe enough to be tornado damage, so I'm wondering if this is the hail damage. I don't know for sure, but I am curious about it. And as we move on, here is the last picture here. We have a case pulling a trailer down to the roadway here. It looks like a nice little bridge here, but you can see how kind of crazy the weather looks on there with the hail just pouring down. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys. There's a lot of cool stuff that was announced and a lot of cool stuff shown off so far about Farming Simulator 25. If you're just new to the game and you're just new to this whole franchise, go back and check out some of the other news videos that I posted, or DJ Goham or Mr. Silly P or any of those guys out there. Go check them out and see what they think and their takes on it. But there you guys go. If you guys enjoyed, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.